So here in Chapter 8, we're going to talk about microbial metabolism. So first we'll talk about what metabolism is, hopefully as a reminder, a refresher. And then we'll take a look at different types of metabolism, and then that will allow us to determine different types of microbes based on those types of metabolism. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So in 8.1, we're going to do a little refresher here on energy, matter, and enzymes. So the term used to describe all of the chemical reactions inside of a cell is metabolism. So that's what we're looking at in this chapter specifically, are all of the chemical reactions that are happening inside of a cell. So if we're talking about a bacterium, all of the reactions inside that bacterium. If we're talking about an amoeba, all of those chemical reactions inside of the amoeba. So cellular processes such as the building or breaking down of complex molecules occur through a series of stepwise and interconnected chemical reactions called metabolic pathways. So we're going to take a look at these metabolic pathways as well. So reactions that are spontaneous, so spontaneous meaning they happen on their own, you don't have to put any energy into it. Reactions that are spontaneous and release energy are called exergonic reactions. So hopefully this is familiar to you. Exergonic is when it is releasing energy, and I remember that because exer is releasing it to the exterior. So the energy is going to the exterior, it's going out. Not exterior as in outside of the organism, but exterior in my mind meaning outside of that reaction. So it releases energy. Whereas a reaction that requires energy, so needs energy to be put into it in order for it to have it happen, is called an endergonic reaction. So exergonic meaning it releases energy, and endergonic reaction meaning that it requires energy. The term anabolism is one that should be familiar as well. That refers to endergonic metabolic pathways involved in biosynthesis, where you convert simple molecular pieces into more complex molecules. And this is fueled by the use of cellular energy. So this is a building up here. So we're taking simple molecular building blocks, so for example amino acids, and then building them into more complex molecules like proteins, for example. And that is called anabolism, and that requires energy. So anabolism is taking it from the smaller pieces, making bigger pieces, and when we do that, that requires energy to be put into that system. It requires energy to take one amino acid and connect it to another amino acid to then make the chain of amino acids that will fold up to become a protein. On the other hand, we have catabolism, and catabolism is an exergonic pathway, so one that releases energy. And that is where we have a breaking down of complex molecules into more simple molecules. So this would be, in the previous example, that would be taking a protein, and then catabolism would be breaking that protein down into its individual amino acids. And that would then release energy. And that is a process that our bodies go through. For example, we eat something that has protein in it, and we take those large pieces of protein, and then what we do is we break them down. We go through catabolism. We break down those complex molecules into simpler ones, into the amino acids that we can then use and then store that energy if we need to, that we have then gained from that process. So that is an exergonic pathway, releasing energy. So molecular energy is stored in the bonds of these complex molecules, is released in catabolic pathways, and then it's harvested in such a way that it can be used to produce high energy molecules, which are then used to drive anabolic pathways. So what we see is the energy used, or the energies that released from catabolism is then used in anabolism. So they are cells are continuously balancing this catabolism with anabolism or anabolism. So here we actually see an image of that. So here we have catabolism, which are larger molecules here that are going to be broken down into smaller ones, and then that includes a release of energy. So exergonic reaction. So here is, let's say these are amino acids. each one of these, and then they're connected in our chain and our protein, and then catabolism is going to break them down into their individual amino acids, releasing energy in the process. And then that energy can go into an anabolic reaction, or anabolism. So that's where we take small molecules and assemble them into larger ones, using up that energy. So in our bodies and in the bodies of microorganisms, bacteria, etc., they're going through a process of catabolism and anabolism at the same time, constantly undergoing. So because our catabolism provides the energy to then go through anabolism.